Uh, I'm about had it
But what?
in relation to this question about Mr. Strange.
Well, it is a good point, and this is the first time I've really seen that Jody Burdett has come up with something that's probably, probably justifiable.
Yeah, I'm been following this obviously as everybody, and he's now facing scrutiny after speaking publicly about the criminal charge against him during a recent council meeting. Right,
Are
and
we on live? Are we on live now?
we are,
Well, we better get introducing
yeah,
ourselves, right?
yeah. So welcome to Talking Niagara with me, Peter Giblett, and him, Dave Wheeler. And I was just sorry, I just entered straight into the first article about about councillor speaking about criminal charges against him.
Yes, we've had a citizen, Jody Burdett, and when I first read it, I thought, oh no, here's another integrity commissioning thing that might go nowhere. But after reading it, I think he has some real sound position here. Now, what's happened is, as we all know, that Mike Strange is up on assault charges against a woman. He claims he's innocent, and we've had protests at City Hall by a group that says women say no more, or no, I didn't get that right. Women say no, who want any particular counselor to be relieved of his duties until the legal action has been determined. In this particular case, they are affronted by the fact that a man who is allegedly, and I'll make a big point there,
Yeah,
being physically violent towards a woman, and they don't want anyone like that to be on council until the legal aspects are resolved. Countering that, Mike Strange has said, look, I'm innocent before proven guilty, and that to remove me of my duties as a counselor is is not right, because I haven't been proven that I had done anything wrong. I've been charged, but that charge will go away in his estimation, and that he is being intimidated by this group that had two demonstrations at City Hall. Who a group of women have come, or possibly with men included, but a group came there. They wanted to speak to the issue, which they were denied.
So this was Women of Ontario Say No.
Yes. So Women of Ontario Say No wanted to address this at City Hall. They were denied that because this is an ongoing investigation. They've done this twice now. And the second time, Councillor Strange, during one of the meetings, Councillor Strange stood up and he addressed the charges against him. And what the complaint has pointed out, that he did this illegally or against the procedural process,
not following the right procedural rules of the council. Yeah,
that's right. And he got up and he said he spoke to the charges against him, which was not the issue on the table. He was asked by the mayor not to talk about ongoing legal matters. The Councilor Coco stood up and said, look, if the women are not allowed to speak on this, Mike Strange should not be allowed to speak on this.
Yeah.
Now, the complaint is that Mike Strange then went on to speak on this and try to elicit public sympathy by saying things like, "I'm not guilty until I'm proved to be," and that by removing me from my office prematurely without any legal pronouncements, that is pretty much harassment by the women of Ontario who say no. Now, in the second demonstration on July 8th, Mike Strange actively went out to get the Niagara Hose Brigade to come and sit in council meeting as a counterweight to the women who were protesting. In other words, he brought his own people in to sort of enhance his own position. So he actively got people there to demonstrate on his behalf or sit there on his behalf based on the allegations against him. So Jody Burdett has said all of this is wrong. He has actively tried to use city council to promote his own position here. At the same time, the women of Ontario who say no had no rights to speak or even hold signs.
Yeah. And this has actually become at first, I'm supportive of the fact that we don't have a decision yet. There's not been any criminal trial held. And the fact, of course, that we really basically should not be taking action against a person until a criminal trial has proven the allegations. And until then, they're simply allegations. However, the fact that this won't go away kind of leads me to draw the conclusion that I'm not happy about Strange continuing to sit on council anymore.
Well, the fact that you could debate the fact with the women of Ontario who say no, that he has not been convicted, and therefore, in the eyes of the law, he is to remain innocent until that conviction happens. However, what Strange has done is wrong. Basically, they may be wrong. The women who that's a matter of opinion or whatever. The council can make rules, whatever they want. But now you may disagree with the women, but what you cannot disagree with in this complaint is that Mike Strange has used his council seat to allegedly make his position sympathetic to the public.
Yeah.
He used a forum there which he should not have done, as Lori Lococo pointed out, that Mike Strange should not speak to the matter if the women in the council were denied the right to speak to the issue. Then he should have been denied the right to the issue. He used the forum. He used the forum to bring up personal matters that weren't on the docket. They were not the discussions to be read out. So he got up and he spoke that. The mayor told him not to, but he did anyway. The mayor should have shut him down right away. Quiet, don't say it anymore. But the mayor allowed him, unfortunately, to keep going and saying that, that he was an innocent man and he should be treated as such. So if those people who came to speak on that matter were denied that he also should have been denied that. He should never have been talking about ongoing legal matters and pretty much putting out his own particular opinion. Then in the second meeting, and when he had the Niagara Hose Brigade come out and help him out by filling up or bringing in members to sort of offset the demonstration of those women that were there, that was an obvious attempt to garner some sympathy or at least move against those women who had legitimate concerns They may not be concerns agreed upon by anyone, but that is their position. The Hose Brigade just came there to counter that position, had none of their own. They came there. He sent out emails, come and support me at city council and I'll buy drinks afterwards. That sounds so stupid, and that was the dumbest thing that Strange could have ever have done.
Yeah.
Made it very public that if you come out to support me against these women, who were not allowed to vote, by the way, they were just sitting in the gallery, a denied vote. So he wanted
to speak,
of his own buddies to come in to counter their effect, and who had no particular reason to be there other than to support Mike Strange. That was and the reward would be drinks, a mighty thereafter. So it's like he's bribing people to come in and influence what was going on at City Hall, the image of it. Dumb, super dumb.
And this is the reason. Up until this point, I'm saying he had the right to stay there. Now, I'm sorry, he should be removed from city council.
Well, if the integrity commissioner comes in, and I fully expect the integrity commissioner to come in this time, against the councilor. Almost every time we have an integrity commissioner report against the councilor, they're found to be vexatious or whatever else. But in this particular case, Strange stepped in it big time.
Yeah.
And he did exactly what Burnett has said he did. Yeah. And now he's lowering up, he's getting lawyers. Anyway, lawyering up for what is about to happen. We know that Peter Angelo really didn't speak to the issues against him very much. He just left it to his lawyer. Now, if Strange got a very good lawyer, he might be able to find little pinholes in the whole thing and be able to exploit them and get him off. But this really is a matter that the evidence is very clear. He did speak to his own position when asked not to. He used up city council time to do that. And then the second time, actually soliciting support with the enticements of alcoholic drinks afterwards. I mean, that just looks dumb. So you can see he's trying to use the forum of the city council to make himself a little bit more sympathetically looked upon.
Yeah.
When there was an investigation ongoing. The reason why the women of Ontario who say no were not permitted to speak because it was an ongoing investigation. They didn't want anything to jeopardize that. Well, if Mike Strange comes with his own supporters, aren't they also jeopardizing the same thing for the same reason? If he speaks on his own behalf and it intrudes upon city council business to do that, he could have asked the mayor for a special time or whatever to speak, and the mayor would have denied him that because it was not city council business.
No, it's not city council business. He should not have spoken on it. And that is primarily the reason why I'm saying now. Up to now, I've been saying he should be, we should wait until he's found guilty or not guilty, and leave it at that allegation. But when a person steps up like that, does, procedurally the wrong thing, he needs to step down. He needs to leave, he needs to leave city council.
Yeah, so if the integrity commissioner comes along and he finds that Strange was accused properly, correctly in this particular case, then I think he should actually step away because he's bringing controversy to City Hall that needs not to be there. The City Hall councilors are there to discuss city business, plain and simple, dumb, that's it. And if he keeps, if he does pull stunts like brings his buddies in to support him and speaks out of turn on his own behalf in city council, then he should step away until this is resolved. But that is up to the city council. That is up to people who got more pay than I do.
Yeah. Okay. But, well, actually, it'll be up to the integrity commissioner at the end of the day.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
But if he lawyers up well enough, that lawyer will be able to be sophisticated enough to find holes and cracks in that whole thing, and maybe recommend, slap on the wrist or community service or some damn stupid
I don't think he'll get away without. He'll lose some pay at the very minimum, but I think he should be forced to step down right now.
He may be forced to step down for a couple of meetings or whatever. I don't know what, but it seems to me that Jody Burdett really hit it on the nail on the head with this particular integrity commissioner complaint.
Well, let's put it this way. Remember at the last session when councilor what's her name, Iannone, lost about 3 months' pay.
Yes.
Due to the allegations that happened there, without going about whether she was guilty or not, because I don't think that has ever really been, thoroughly aired. This is worse than what she was alleged to have done.
Or she was alleged to have leaked information, sensitive information.
Yeah,
and that was in the media, and that's what was jarring to, particularly as I remember. I might not have a clear memory of it, but and she was found guilty of that.
Yeah, she was. But the point being is, I think this is potentially a lot worse.
Well, she claimed that it was already public information. And at the time she gave the interview or whatever, which she did reveal certain information, the mayor in particular said that no, it was not public information at the time, and that was a breach of ethics. But probably more of a mistake than a breach of ethics. But still, if even if you make a mistake and you breach the ethics or share information that's sensitive, then yeah, you should be punished for it. But anyway, that goes too far back for me to remember it clearly.
Yeah, but the point being is, I think Strange's situation is far worse than Iannone's.
Yeah, the case brought by Jody Burdett is very clear. Like, as you read it, Strange, in his opinion, Strange used the council to elicit sympathy for his own position, where he should not have said anything. This was a clear attempt to, and Mike Strange is a very popular person in town. He has he's done a lot of work with children with cancer and so on and so forth, a lot of charitable work. So he gets double thumbs up a lot of the places. So anyway, he would most definitely get a buy on for sympathy, and whether or not he did that knowingly, who knows? But he did make a mistake. He spoke about his own case when asked not to during city council business, and he elicited friends of his to come and support him in a city council meeting to counterbalance the women of Ontario who say no, with promises of drinks.
Yeah.
Not wise at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come to vote for your city councilors coming up, Mike Strange is very popular. He's done excellent work in the community, but he's not exactly the greatest counselor.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets there on the strength of his altruistic work with cancerous children and many other things, and he may be suited for many things in the community that's beneficial to the community, but he is showing up over and over and over again, a guy that is really not suitable for council.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And we'll leave it at that. West Nile is found a first human case in 2025. This is actually pretty vicious.
Yeah, here one of the reasons why I put this up here. So West Nile virus has popped up. It pops up all the time. It's a virus. Most people don't even know they have it. Basically, what happens here is mosquitoes. It's transferred. It comes from birds and mosquitoes who basically get the virus from the birds and then transfer it to humans from the birds through the mosquito into humans. We can't get it from the birds themselves, but we can get it from the mosquitoes who's taking blood from the bird and then tries to get blood from a human.
Yeah.
And once that's in you, now one of the reasons why I put up, and of course it can be very dangerous. So there are, like, most people won't be affected, but there are going to be people who are affected. A lot of people won't even know they have it. Some people will feel a fluish and tired feeling, and others with compromised immune systems, and others who are just have the makeup or the genetic makeups to be more terribly affected by West Nile virus. So what does that sound like to you? Didn't it sound like COVID? Some people had COVID, didn't even know it. Other people got COVID and had about a week of flu, and other people got severely ill or even died. And yet, where is the big hoopla saying the West Nile virus is a fraud? The West Nile virus is a scam. The West Nile virus is a hoax.
No. Yeah, I'm joking, of course.
Yeah. So
it's pretty. It could be pretty serious. Not that there's actually many people have been affected by West Nile right now.
No, it's just popping up, and it does pop up this time of year, in August and September. It says in the article,
yeah.
And if you're in and around anywhere where there's a lot of mosquitoes or things like that, you really have to be particularly careful during early morning or as the sun goes down or as the sun comes up, and around that area of time when mosquitoes come out at that particular time. If you're going to be in swampy areas or places where there's lots of mosquitoes, or you're going to be hiking, use long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants, that kind of thing. I suppose use repellent as well, just to avoid being sick when you don't have to be sick. Most of the people will recover from it. A lot of people will only have very mild symptoms, but there is a segment of the population who is genetically predisposed to have more severe symptoms. And some people, just like in COVID, where one person can, like I mentioned this of a family that I knew, where all three members of the family got COVID from the same source. So the man of the house didn't even know he had COVID. The daughter of the household had flu-like feelings for about 4 or 5 days, and the mother of the house nearly died. She was bedbound for 3.5 weeks, and even thereafter was very weak afterwards, and almost perished. So there you have 3 people of the same family who had 3 different reactions to the same virus at the same particular time. And I think that's the same for any virus, including West Nile virus. Although West Nile virus is less likely to take a life, it can bring about long-term disabilities because it can get into joints and other things. So some people are more susceptible to it than others, and that's the point. Now, of course, older people or people with immunity compromised, their immune system is compromised by any number of things, whether it's age or whether they're going through cancer treatments or any other kind of thing, they're going to get more sick from West Nile virus. But as anything else, you don't want to take that chance. You might be that person that's more susceptible to West Nile virus than the average person.
Yeah.
So you want to take precautions, particularly around mosquito areas. And this is sort of just as a public announcement, basically, that you want to take some precautions around there, particularly with your kids or something like that, or if you have a senior in your family. You want to take particular precautions, particularly around anywhere where the mosquitoes might be. You want to get rid of any standing water so the mosquitoes can't proliferate. And I'll go back to that COVID thing too. Like, there is no real, and why do you think there's no huge complaint about West Nile virus being a scam? Is because, of course, it doesn't take a whole lot of lives, So, yeah, that's when I read that, I thought to myself, where is the protestations? Where are the people on the? Oh, it's nothing but
we've had West Nile virus prevalent within this area for about the last 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
Right. It first came to our attention about, as COVID was waning, and it's been continuing on. It's not,
yes,
it's not a big killer, but it is enough to.
It can kill, but depending on the person, and what you don't want to be is very sick or your joints inflamed, and sometimes it can have a long-lasting effect. So it's just, and it is always put out there by the public health, as they should do, that this is something you have to be aware of. You don't want to be sick if you don't have to be.
Yeah. Okay.
It's enough of a health threat that is pointed out. Yeah.
All right. So driveway confrontation in Niagara spurs debate over self-styled predator poachers.
Yeah, this is a very interesting article, don't you think?
It's kind of weird, this, because I'm like, what the heck are you going on about? And then I read further, and I'm like, okay, so talking about people who would be luring of children, right?
Yeah, we find a lot of these. We find there's a lot of child predation online. So what happens is people who are pedophiles basically are trying to lure children into sexual contacts with them. They get online, they abuse the vulnerability of young girls and young boys to try to get them to meet them someplace for sexual interactions, basically. But they start online by luring them and playing into it. Well, it turns out that somebody here in St. Catharines was doing that. And there are vigilante groups out there, basically, and I don't mean vigilante groups that are going out to hang somebody, that kind of vigilante groups. But what was a great deal of frustration for people was how many children are being lured and conned by these predators online. They find that very easy to lure certain children into sexual contact. What was frustrating for many people is the police could not keep up with this. So what they did was start to set traps for these predators. And this particular a man from Long Island, New York, came all the way up here to St. Catharines to confront a man here in St. Catharines who worked at Brock University and pointed out that he was a sexual predator and that he had proof of it, and he confronted him on his own property. And when the police came, they handed the evidence he had to the police here, the Niagara Regional Police, and the Niagara Regional Police 4 or 5 days later arrested the guy. Now, the guy's name, I don't want to use the guy's name because I don't know.
No, don't use the guy's name.
No. So anyway, the person who brought up the evidence is also's name does not want to be used because, and the press has obliged that and not published his name, even though he gave it to them. He asked them not to use it so they can continue the work he has done. Now, the problem with this, of course, is the police took the evidence and charged the guy, and he's lost his job subsequently.
Yeah.
But is this the right thing to do? I don't think so.
Well, it's
the real frustration. The real reason why this guy did it in person is because he feels that a lot of times when he offers the evidence to the local police departments, whether they're this is the first time in Ontario, but in other places in the U.S., the police department don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So that's why he wanted to do it in person. However, he did find the police here open-minded to the evidence he had. Is it right for him to confront the person face-to-face? Or is it better off for him to supply that evidence to the local police department?
Yeah.
Obviously, up here in Canada, you would say, hand it over to the police. And if they don't do anything about it, then follow up.
Well, that's an interesting question because you know, as you probably well know, that very often with things like that, there's too many allegations out there about the police just can't be bothered to investigate. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying that's the public perception of what's going on, right?
Well, that was the case. That was the case. The police really wanted to do it themselves and ignored the kind of evidence that people were trying to point out to them. They have since got wiser because this is such a public issue, and because more and more children are being victimized because they are easily reached on social media. There's a whole brand new situation. A lot more victims are now potential because of social media. So what this fella did, he should have, in my view, is just submitted the evidence that he had to the police. And the reason why is because the police may have had, and in this particular case, no, but the police may have had an ongoing investigation already. He may have, if they had an ongoing investigation on this guy, what he did might have jeopardized that.
That's true.
So that's the number one thing.
Yeah.
The number two thing.
If the police didn't have an investigation ongoing about this particular individual, then it's probably the right thing to point it out. Yes.
Now, what he should have done is now the other point is that he draws in, not only does he potentially ruin an ongoing investigation, he may also cause undue stress to family members that don't need it. So if this particular man had a wife that was extremely upset by all this, particularly exposed, it was on camera, somebody was filming the whole event. So the wife of this particular individual was aghast, extremely upset. If there was children in the house, if this guy had kids and stuff like that, that would have put a huge pressure on those children and undue stress. We've had a lot of suicides apparently when vigilantes have exposed, so-called vigilantes have exposed these people publicly. So it's better to do it on the QT so you can minimize the amount of sort of collateral damage.
Well, one of the things that groups like this have to, called Predator Poachers Long Island, one of the things that groups like this need to have to be aware of is the rules are different in Canada than they are in the USA. And we'll come across that again in a later article that we're talking about.
Yes. So,
we're founded on the same law as the Americans do, but how we position is slightly different.
Yeah. Now, I don't have any problem at all with these groups looking for predators, as long as they're trained or very, very careful on how they do it. Now, the particular person that they accused of this said that he knew that he was being that wasn't a real girl that he was talking to, and only out of his own particular interest played along. It really doesn't seem to hold much water, but that's his excuse. Now, we found that there are being others who have played along in order to help trap the person, that kind of thing. But
again,
go ahead.
But again, if you play along, if you want to entrap the person, entrap people, surely you've got to be working with a citizens group or working with the police.
Well, like I said, I haven't anything against citizens groups because obviously the police don't have enough resources to do that. So when these citizens groups go out there and pretend to be a 14-year-old girl or a 13-year-old boy or something like that, when they go to sites that they know where predators use them and pretend to be who they aren't, like a young girl or a boy, then once they get enough evidence, they should be able to turn it over to the police. Now, the real problem here with this particular fellow who came all the way from Long Island to confront this man in St. Catharines is because he had no particular faith in the procedure, the legal stuff, because he's being ignored previously. So that's why he took the confrontational approach. He says he is getting close to 10, has had success up to 10 of these predators. And so his work and that of the poachers, that group that he works with, has had up to 10 successes in getting these pedophiles exposed.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the kind of work that they do. What I am, what I'm mindful of is that the application of the law is slightly different in Canada than it is in the US, and they have to be mindful of that.
Well, how is it different in this case?
Well, I'm not actually sure about how, it's more about police procedure and things like that. I'm not entirely sure how the law is different, because it's part of our criminal code, remember. It's a criminal code offense, and so how we apply those criminal codes, is there's different rulings for policing in the UK, in Canada than there is in the USA.
Well, yeah, maybe, but Anyway, this guy he confronts these guys.
I'm not saying we shouldn't get these people off the street. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm just saying that there's a way of doing it.
Yes. Now there is problems because you may screw up. Like if you're getting evidence that is not legally secured by legal means or proper means, you may screw up the case.
Yes, exactly.
Against pedophile. Yeah. So what you want to do in this particular case, I think, like to confront the guy face to face, he should have given the Niagara Regional Police the benefit of the doubt at first to submit the evidence that he had to the police and let them do their job. And if they didn't do their job, then he could become much more vocal and do that. Because of the consequences here, one thing, as we've mentioned, he could have messed up an ongoing investigation. That's one thing. The other thing is he could have it caused undue stress to innocent family members, and we find that people commit suicide and things of that kind. It's very interesting to note also that the person that he has come to confront this particular time was an intelligent person, very much more sophisticated than what he claims to be the other ones. He says the other people that they have, the other ones that they have grabbed or provided evidence for are people of very low IQ, he says. But this particular guy was not one of them. Yeah. He was much more sophisticated. Probably a much bigger fish for him to grab. So, however, I do wish that he would have gone with the police first. Yeah. As it turns out, the police were very open-minded to the evidence, took it upon themselves to investigate what he had provided for them, and went and got the guy and arrested him. And because they feel that they have the enough evidence to at least arrest him before his trial. Now, this person has not, of course, been tried or anything of that kind yet. It's all still alleged, but he has been arrested, and he lost his job because of it, actually. So that's how consequential this was. However, like he could have wrecked an ongoing investigation. He also could have caused so much stress to other family members that they will be affected terribly afterwards. Everyone's going to be affected by this in and around the family, but they'll have more time and more ability to adapt to it rather than these shock tactics that the guy is using. Yeah. So I believe that, I celebrate his group's work, but he should work with the police. Yeah. And keep himself low profile too, because now people are going to be looking for him and know that there are these traps out there. So what he's done basically is told the world of pedophiles, there's lots of traps out there for you. Be careful. You don't want to tell somebody where your trap is.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, August 17th marked the centenary of the laying down the ground of the Fort Erie Peace Bridge.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
We missed that last week.
Yeah, I did too. So on August 17th, 1925, they started sticking shovels in the ground to make the Peace Bridge one of the busiest concourses between the United States and Canada. And they called it, and one of the reasons why I posted this, because you have all the different articles you can have, I put this one there. And I put it there because of the irony of the whole thing. The Peace Bridge was put up in 1925 to celebrate over 100 years of peace between Canada and the U.S. Buffalo and Fort Erie were places that were burned up, and people were killed in the War of 1812.
Yeah.
There was a battle going back and forth there constantly. 60% of the war happened in the Niagara Peninsula. So it was really quite essential that this, they really quite nice that this all happened, that they put up the Peace Bridge to celebrate this peace and our ongoing cooperation. However, the reason why I put it there is because it's ironic that now things are going the other way. This cooperation we've had and this ongoing open-handedness between country and country has come to a point where we are actually embittered by the actions of the U.S. government against Canada. Now, this doesn't spill over into the citizens of Canada, but I thought, really, here we are celebrating, and in 2 years, in 2027, it will be 100 years since the bridge was open, and here we are in a conflicted place.
That's pretty amazing. They built the bridge in 2 years. Wow.
Yeah, they did it good, and you can see the peak of the bridge, how it peaks up and goes uphill and over, is because there was still a lot of shipping that went underneath the bridge back in those days. They had conning towers, etc. So that's kind of interesting.
The interesting thing is, if you think about it, where the Peace Bridge lands on the American side, it's actually higher than it is on the Canadian side.
It could be just because of
well, there's a hill on that side. There's a hill on that side, which if you come off that, that's where the Peace Bridge lands, up on the top of the hill.
Well, that was a devious strategy for them because they wanted most of the weight of the bridge to be on the Canadian side. So your country's going to have to carry more of the weight.
You travel uphill from Canada and you travel downhill from the United States.
Well, no, you have to go uphill too. When you come out of Buffalo, you go uphill and then you come down again. I mean, it's a big roll in the middle. And the reason that arch is there in the first place was to facilitate the type of shipping they still had in those days.
Yeah.
So, and you find that in Lewiston, you find that in the Grand Island Bridge too.
Yeah.
It's senseless to have the Grand Island Bridge the way it looks like now because there's no shipping under there.
There is occasional shipping. I've been over there once when something went underneath.
How tall was it?
Pardon me?
How tall was that vessel?
Not massive.
Yeah, nowhere near what you need for that.
No,
those
nowhere near what goes under the bridges in, under the QEW bridge, for example.
Yeah, so it's unneeded. Basically, there is no shipping need now, but that was at that time that they built it. Now they built it very well, and it was a sign that there was this continuous peace between our two borders and trade and connections, and there always had been because we've had American. My own family comes from the United States, actually. My father's father's side came from the United States. Even my grandmother's, my father's mother's side actually first began in the United States and came up this way. So the connections between the United States and Canada have been continuous. This Peace Bridge was symbolic of that. But the fact that we have this angst between us right now is nearly ironic that the Peace Bridge started 100 years ago, and we are at the point where we wouldn't have expected it to be. If you were in 1927 looking at the future of Canada and United States relations, you would have expected them to keep improving continually thereon, and would not have expected the United States to wage a trade war against Canada. In everything up until that time is to benefit of both countries. each country has its own particular interests, but the United States and Canada have benefited each other. And now we're in this trade war. So the irony of a peace bridge between us being 100 years, or at least the beginning of it being 100 years old, is, I think, is rather ironic when there is, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the other thing about this, of course, is that I'm not sure they've actually opened it as yet. They've made the connection across the Gordie Howe Bridge in Windsor, but I don't think they've opened that one yet, have they?
It was close to being finished. I know when we reported.
It was close to being finished, but I don't think it's actually been formally opened. Maybe there's some traffic going over it, but I think it's close to being formally opened.
I'll look it up right now.
Yeah. I just thought that was actually part and parcel of it, if you know what I mean.
It's 98. The project's over 98% complete. Is on track to open in the fall of 2025. So it's going to be opened soon.
Yeah,
within a month or two.
Yeah, and that was actually what I thought there was some connection there. Within a month or two, that bridge is going to be open. It's going to be fully tarmacked and everything like that, and ready to go.
Yes, and the first thing that's going to be built on the American side is a gigantic tariff machine. So if you're bringing over ketchup flavored chips, they'll know that it's Canadian because they don't sell them in the States, and you'll be tariffed on your bag of potato chips.
Well, there you go.
It's almost that bad. Where'd you get those shoes? Where'd you buy those shoes?
Well, actually,
we're going to put a tariff on them.
Actually, the interesting thing is that a friend of mine came from the US, visited for a few days, and when they went back, they were told they had their California oranges confiscated.
When they went back?
Yeah.
So they bought California oranges up here?
Or no, they brought them with them. Yeah. And when they went back to the US across the land border, the oranges were confiscated.
Oh, well, there you have it. So I don't know. I haven't been over the bridge in a few months, but I had no problems going back and forth across the bridge during the winter and the springtime. I don't know what's going on now. Everything's getting stupid. The tariff thing is out of control. So, but I don't think it's going to affect. But the immigration thing is a big issue too. You know what I mean? If you have an accent, you might be suspected. If you have brown skin, it seems that they are targeting people with brown skin. Like they keep coming up with that. That if somebody looks a little bit tanned, maybe they're a Latino and maybe they're trying to get into the country illegally. I don't know. You could be a Russian operative and just sail past them, but if you happen to be brown toned, you might be pulled over. I don't know. It doesn't seem nice to me. It doesn't seem to be fair either. But anyway,
when are these things ever fair, Dave?
I don't know. I don't know. But when the Girl Guides can't go to the United States for a jamboree because we have a lot of people from all over the world, and a little girl and their family comes across into the United States, they have the potential of being pulled over and interrogated and maybe even turned back. So that's why, until this thing is all over, until they sort it out, until the beloved leader is no longer the beloved leader, we might have to put up with this for a while.
All right. Yeah. Moving on. Okay. Okay, so let's see if there's a better story we can do. Okay, so Ford has basically been saying that that Polyev should put away his partisan stripes.
Oh,
And
wait a minute. I got something to note. This might be of interest to Gary if Gary's listening. The Minto Cup was won by BC, and and boo, like the Orangeville Northmen played a huge, great game against. Oh God, it's lost in my mind who they were playing. Anyway, go ahead. We'll talk about this in a minute. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, basically, Ford is saying that that Carney should, that Polyev should put away his partisan stripes and work with Carney amid the tariff situation, the ongoing tariff war.
Yes. Well, Doug Ford is very vocal. He wants to fight. What we have found, though, is that our prime minister has been very, very careful. Carney's been very, very careful, and he noticed a glitch, a weakness in our approach. We have sort of tariffed goods that are on the USMCA or the Kuzma agreement, and the United States has not done that, except for steel and aluminum and a few other things. So he's playing his cards right here. If we tariff things that are Kuzma, then the United States might do the same thing, other than steel, aluminum, copper. So he's playing his cards right. So certain tariffs will remain, those that are not on the USMCA agreement, the NAFTA agreement. So he's being smart by doing that, I think. Doing exactly what the United States has done, tariff things that are not covered by that. Now, things that should be free are softwood lumber, steel, aluminum, and all that should go there. But the United States has said they have to protect their own particular industries. It's a matter of national security. It's a big fat lie, but that's the excuse they use. But Carney can't step in the bear trap and say, well, have them turn around and say, look, you tariff things that were on NAFTA and we did not, so we're going to come after you. So he has to step around. He has to step around a lot of landmines here in order to get to a more equitable deal. Ford wants to fight fire with fire. I kind of want to be on Ford's side on this. I want to fight it out. But on the other hand, if you are hurting Canadians by doing that, is it worth it? Is it worth tariffing U.S. things if it will hurt the Canadian consumer? So you have to be very careful here. So Carney has now, as far as Ford goes, he is really angry at the Cleveland Cliffs president of Cleveland Cliffs Steel, who have just bought Stelco for $3.4 billion and just come all over him and said,
made guarantees at the time when they were buying Stelco about the continuation of their Canadian operations.
Well, I think the president of Cleveland Cliffs sees a political opportunity here. He's looking for advantages for the steel industry. Obviously, he's just made this huge investment in Canada, but he sees playing ball with Trump is the best way to go. Compliment the guy. He can also get thumbs up from the union guys that work at Cleveland Cliffs steel mills. Cleveland Cliffs is the largest steel company in the United States. So he can get a lot of brownie points from his own workers in his plant. He can get a lot of brownie points from Trump. He probably knows that it doesn't matter what he says, but it's better for him at this particular time to look like a Trump stooge, and that's worked for other manufacturers where they come and bow and and all that and compliment Trump on his things. He probably does know also that there's nothing set in stone in this particular case, but Ford's really angry at him because he's turning his back on the steel mill that he's just bought in Hamilton. Yeah. And he's turning his back on his workers. He hasn't come out and said, look, this is not good for workers, that we should look at this a little bit differently. No, he hasn't done that. He's just come along.
Especially since in the fall of last year, he guaranteed that this wasn't for asset stripping purposes. This was because of the quality of the steel the Canadians made.
Yeah. And we had a market in the United States. Now we buy more steel than we sell to them, which I don't know, which is dumb. But this rough idea of onshoring everything right away is not a good fit. If you want to do it gradually, that would allow the Canadian industry to adjust its market to more domestic or other foreign markets. Yeah. But if you do it bluntly like that, that jeopardizes the people's jobs in Canada and the United States, because Canadian steel went there for particular reasons. We buy U.S. steel because we don't make that kind of steel, like I-beams. The U.S. we make certain kind of steels that the U.S. find it more convenient for us to make rather than them. We're only going to make matters worse. If you want to onshore your steel industry and make it completely exclusive U.S., then you want to do that in a more slow manner. This gives time for your own industry to ramp up and not face larger expenses. But it also allows the country you're shutting out to readjust their plans as well. It's the humane approach, basically. But this guy is not a real leader.
No, yeah.
He's not. Trump's not a real leader. And it doesn't help that a guy like Cliff's president goes and licks Trump's boots and tells him how wonderful he is. That doesn't help. You have to have adults in the room saying, yes, I understand you want to onshore all the steel industry here, but you can't do it that fast. We can do it in a process. If we use that process, we can onshore all our steel needs by the means of tariffs or other things we can do that with. But to do that quickly and right away, that disrupts a lot of industrial process.
Yeah.
And it hurts people on both sides of the border.
It does. Not that Trump would care about the Canadian workers, but yeah.
I don't think he cares about American workers either. I don't think
you might well be right. You may well be right.
Look at all the farmers just completely complaining, huge about what's happening. He doesn't seem to give a hoot. But what he did in the past, when Trump did his tariffs against China, and that jeopardized the American farmers, he had to give them subsidies.
Yeah.
He's sounding more and more like a communist every time. So instead, the farmers' export market got dried up because of his tariffs. So what did he do? He gave the farmers subsidies. Doesn't that sound a lot like a socialist regime? And now he's insisting that the company Intel, NVIDIA, whatever it was, or Intel, give him 15% of or 10% of their company and 15% of their profits. That sounds a lot like state-run operation, doesn't it?
Somewhat, yeah. All right, and welcome. Okay, so we got plenty of things to come back to tomorrow.
Yes, indeed.
And I think we can kind of call it quits at the moment.
Yep. So without further ado, I bid you adieu, and I'm going to bring up Gaza again. Gaza City is getting massacred right now, bombs galore. They're going to invade. Gaza City was unlivable already, and they're going to make sure that it's unlivable for a housefly. or an ant. Unfortunately, they have not been able to defeat Hamas, and they're going to try to continue to do that. But people, ordinary everyday people, are starving. They're being hurt. They're being pushed around. Millions have to go here, then go there, and go back and forth and back and forth. And the world stands by. And Netanyahu wants to. I don't know. Netanyahu is a war criminal, and that's all there is to it. Anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu, and see you tomorrow.
Yeah.